Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico with the Creativity Cave, and I am going to share with you how to make this gorgeous card using the Sure Do Love You bundle. That bundle is right here. The stamp set, and we have coordinating dies, and the dies even make a cute little gift box, which is kind of sweet. And then I'm also using the sentiment is from the Waterfront stamp set, which is really awesome. I do have an online class for this stamp set, and I have an online class coming for this stamp set, so I'm really excited about this. I've been having a lot of fun playing with this. All right, now today's card is so pretty, and I have a lot of great tips to share with you on how I made it, and it's kind of a fun technique. And I have actually a couple of fun techniques on here. And I want to let you know that if you aren't already a subscriber to the Creativity Cave, you should totally subscribe. There's a little button. I think it's right here. It could be here, but maybe it's here. But I don't think it's there. Anyway, when you click on that button, you can subscribe to my channel, and then you will never miss any of my awesome videos. All right, so let me show you how I put this together, because it's actually quite simple. There's just a few steps involved, but nothing is too complicated. All right, first of all, I'm going to start with my card base. I'll fold that in half, and I'm using kind of a unique color combination. I have Perfect Plum Cherry Cobbler in Real Red, and let me tell you, these are colors I would never have put together, but I actually saw them in one of the online challenge blogs, and I really liked the challenge of using these colors, so that's kind of where that came from. Okay, so I'm going to start with my background paper, and when I was actually putting this card together, I had done everything else, and when I went to put the stamped images onto my card, I was like, that's really boring. So I decided to stamp the background of it, and so that's where this came from. So I'm just going to take my stamp and overlap, change directions, and just stamp this background. When the ink overlaps, it looks really cool, and this image is kind of a watercolory look. It's not a solid heart, so when you do stamp it over and over, overlapping, I mean, it really does give you kind of a cool effect. So anyway, there that is. And while it kind of looks ugly here, when you put everything else on top, it'll look very pretty. Okay, we'll set that aside. Next, I'm going to stamp this heart right here. So that is this one solid image, and I'm going to take and ink that up with my Perfect Plum ink. Goodness, that's a tongue twister. And then I'm going to actually take the other two colors and sponge them on. So I've got a little sponge dauber. You can see I'm just a teeny bit anal. I've labeled them, but that makes them really easy to use. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start sponging some color on here. So I'm adding this red ink to the already purpley plum colored heart. Okay, so now I've got two colors of ink on there. Then I'm going to continue that with the Cherry Cobbler ink. So I've got my cherry sponge dauber, and I'm adding ink on here like so. And I'm just building up some really beautiful color onto this heart, but still leaving my Perfect Plum. Now I'm also going to actually sponge some plum on here because I've been adding so much ink. I want to make sure that plum still shows up. So I'm going to sponge a little bit more ink, and then that kind of softens the line between the colors a little bit so that it's nice and pretty when I go to stamp it out. All right, I think that's going to look good. I'm going to give it one more sponge and a huff because I can't help myself. If you use markers, you'll know what the huffing is all about. Okay, so there we go. Isn't that gorgeous? So pretty. All right, so I've got my heart. Now I need to die cut this, so I'm going to show you how I do that. If you saw, I think last week, I posted a video on my blog about how to die cut in a way that saves your plates from warping. And so my recommendation is to cut with your cutting blades up. Now that's easy enough to do when you're just cutting out of a solid piece of cardstock, but when you're cutting something out that you've stamped, as many of our framelits are designed to do, if you take a piece of washi tape and adhere it down onto your cardstock, that's going to hold your framelit in place. I'm just going to grab my plates so that I can go ahead and flip that over and then send it through my machine, just as I talked about in that video. So hold on, I'll be right back. Perfect. So we like that. All right, next, let's set this aside and we're going to stamp the background on my piece of Whisper White cardstock. Now, all of the dimensions and supplies and everything that I'm using is in the link. Just click on show more right below here and you'll see everything that I've used, and then all those dimensions are on my blog. I'm gonna quick clean my heart because we want to start with a nice color. So I'm going to start by stamping my heart all over the background. Ooh, how do I get on here? There we go. You can see I'm going in all different directions. I'm overlapping, I'm going over the edge, and I'm just creating a really fun background. And I think it's kind of cool. It almost, when you're done, it almost has a look of suede, to be completely honest. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this image is very watercolory. It's not even and perfect. Now, I have used the stamp to really cover the whole thing in the plum color. I'm going to continue that with my red ink. We'll clean in between. Sorry, my scrubber is just off camera. We're going to stamp in red ink, and the red ink can be a little overbearing, so I'm actually going to stamp off red a little bit till I get kind of my bearings. I'm not going to stamp as many red hearts as I did plum hearts, because we still want to see that plum behind the red. But man, stamping it off helps. We'll do a couple full strength ones kind of off the edge here, just to add a little more depth of color, like so. Okay, then I'm going to add the cherry cobbler. And again, cherry cobbler is a nice rich color. It's almost like if you combined the two together. And you can see now I've really built up the color on here. And I think we'll leave it at that. We definitely want to see that plum peeking through in places, and it looks pretty good. All right, I'm going to close my ink up since I'm done with these for now. And the next step that we're going to do is emboss the wreath and the sentiment on our card. But both of these pieces are still wet with ink. So what we want to do is dry them off. So we use our heat tool to do that, and you can kind of see it will lose some of its shine. But if your ink is wet, then as you probably have seen before, if you've ever embossed, that your embossing powder will stick all over, and you don't want to do that. We're going to use our embossing buddy as well, but because I used kind of a lot of ink and did a lot of stamping, I want to really ensure that these pieces are dry. I turn it over to help with the warping of the paper, because sometimes it warps when you heat it. By the way, can I just say for a minute, the Olympics are here. I'm so excited. All right, so that looks okay. I think it's still a little wet. Let's see. We really want this to be dry. So if I was smart, I probably would have done this last, because then that would have given me a little more time to dry things. All right, we're going to let that go. Hopefully it'll be okay. All right, but I did mention the embossing buddy, and I'm going to use that. I keep my embossing buddy in this little container. I'm just going to drop that over the top of this, and then I'll stamp my sentiment, and then we'll heat emboss it with silver ink, or silver powder, I should say. So that looks good. And my powder is right here. There, that looks good. We've got it on there just right. I'll set that aside. And then we'll do the same thing. Do our embossing buddy. Okay. And then we'll stamp the wreath. And this is actually the second time I've shot this video. The first time, let's just say, my cardstock was not dry. It did not look good. There was embossing powder everywhere. And I scorched it. So we're just going to try this once more, see if it goes a little better this time. I rarely reshoot videos. In fact, this is the first time I think I've ever shot a video this far in, completely over. But I wanted you guys to learn from my bad mistakes. I already can tell that we're going to be doing better on this round. Okay, so I'll put my powder on, and look at that. It does just stick to the wreath. That's good. Very good. Good job, Dina. All right. That's why I shared this information with you. Okay, so I'm just going to, oops, turn this over. Hold on. I'm saying hold on to my embossing gun like it's listening. I'm just making sure I got any of the excess powder off. I could feel a little on there. Now I'm heating from behind, and there we go. You can watch it go. I kind of got talking in the last video, and so I stopped watching what I was doing, and I literally burnt the paper. I know some of you who watch my videos would be completely shocked that I could like go on talking too long, but it does happen. All right, so there we go. Okay, I can't even tell you, this is like 100 times better. And then we'll do our little heart as well. Be careful not to burn your fingers, P.S., because that can also happen. Not that I have any experience with that either, but oh, this looks so much better. Let me see if I checked the other ones in disgust because I was mad. I don't know. I don't see them. But they were not as pretty. They were really globby. So we've done a much better job here. Okay, now because I have powder all over, we're gonna throw away our scrap paper and bring in, I just have a little scrap right here, because the next technique I'm gonna show you is we're going to create an embellishment for this. If you notice, I've got some beautiful cherry cobbler ribbon on here, and guess how I got that? We have this beautiful ribbon. This is called metallic edge ribbon, and all that I'm going to do is kind of use my card here to check the length that I need. Just snip that off. You can also use your heart so you know how much you need, you know, to go behind it to do that zigzag. And I've got a little extra on here, and that's fine. But what I'm going to do is take one of my awesome Stampin' Blends. I've got the light one, and what's nice about this is if you want the dark, if you can start light, and if you need to add, you can make it darker, but it's hard to take the color away. I have not tried the color lifter on the ribbon, but you can see I'm just coloring right over the edge of this. Obviously you want to protect your work surface because as you can see it goes right through the ribbon, colors it pretty solidly, and look at how beautiful that is. So cool. Now you can see the back side, I didn't get any ink on that metallic edge, but on the front side I did. So I tried wiping it off, and that didn't really come off because these darn blends work just how you want them. They don't smear. But I did take my color lifter and I just went around that metallic edge, and it actually did lift off the color from the metallic ribbon, and I think it just looks a little nicer. So that's getting a little on the anal side, but it gives a nice result. Okay, so there we go. That is my ribbon. Isn't that amazing? I love doing this. Okay, so you can make your ribbon any color that you've got your Stampin' Blends, which is very cool. Now, I'm going to take this over here and adhere my layers together and put the final touches on my beautiful card. Now, because I've embossed this and it's warped a little, I'm going to use a little extra adhesive. Okay, like a lot of extra adhesive, I guess. place that onto my card like so. And again, all the dimensions for this are on my blog, so check that out. I'm going to put some dimensionals on my heart. One more. So that it'll pop right up on top. And then to adhere the ribbon, I'm just going to do kind of a line of adhesive. All right, I want it to, I guess officially I did it this way. I want it to go across here in a zigzag like so. So it's just outside the length of, or the width of the wreath. I can set that on side and I can say, oh, that's a little much. So let's bring that back just a touch. And the beauty is that once you put it on the fast views, you can reposition it as you need. Okay, that looks good. And we'll just adhere this down. Then we're going to pop the whole panel up onto our card. I just think this is so pretty. Oh, so pretty. And this edge needs a little trimming too. There we go. And you know what? That a little more, just a little more. There we go. So isn't that ribbon so gorgeous? Okay. Now, ooh, I'm going to pop this up. So I'm going to use my dimensionals. I'll just cut these edge pieces up a little. All right. And there is our card. So pretty. So I hope you've loved this video. If you need to purchase any of these supplies, I would be so grateful if you ordered through my online store. I would love to be your demonstrator and earn your business. Please check out the links in the description below for the details on my fantastic VIP Rewards Club, which is for anybody who's ordered in my online store. Anyway, please have a great day, and I will come back here and see you and stamp with you again soon. See you guys. Bye-bye.